Hey guys, it's DJ Charlie here. Today I'm going to be taking some inventory of all my cables and equipment and everything, and because it's been a while since I've done it, and I need to kind of try and keep track of everything I have, especially when I run out of equipment and do shows and such. And I also spent about $200 today at Harbor Freight on some cases, some this and that that I think I kind of needed to get for mobile DJ gigs or just any regular shows, running sound equipment, lighting, anything. You'll see what I mean. But let's get to it. First off, we'll start with some audio cables. I'm going to show you kind of what I got for this. Now, I got a few cases. I may not need them all. I'm going to find out tonight, and I may actually need to swap cases and get a different kind, but we'll see. I just kind of went with a general idea of what I had and looking at these cases and what potential they had. So first off, let me show you this first. So what I got is this guy, and it's just a regular toolbox, you might think, but actually here's the kicker, and I found kind of surprising. It's not one toolbox, it's more than one toolbox. Notice I didn't say two toolboxes, because it's not two toolboxes. Because there's another toolbox inside of that one. But that's not all. Inside of this little toolbox is a little baby toolbox. So, and it was actually a pretty good deal. It was like, I want to say 25, 26 bucks at Harbor Freight. And it was a 4-set. Found that kind of surprising. Oops. Tray goes in here. And apparently this one has a tray. So, the reason I got these is because, well, one, it was pretty cheap, and you got 4 toolboxes for 26 bucks. I mean, not a bad deal if you ask me. But the reason I got it was because if you ever been to any shows that I've worked or any of my mobile DJ gigs, you notice that I've got, you can't really see them, I've got these plastic Rubbermaid totes, bins, whatever you want to call them. I've got 3 of them that I generally will take with me. I've got one for AV, so that's any kind of audio video equipment or cables or whatever. One for lighting, which I actually keep my lights in, and along with DMX cables, O clamps, terminators, and the such. And then I've got one for power, and which includes power distributors, conditioners, power cables, extension cables, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's get started. Actually, I'm going to start with these new cables I got. I purchased these cables before. As far as cables go, I've not had any problems with these things. They're inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon. They come in various different lengths. The first package I got was a pack of, I believe, 5 25-foot XLR cables. They worked fine, and so I've used them at several shows and different things, and I was pleased enough with them. I went ahead and bought a whole nother set, and this set was, or it may have been 2 sets, I can't remember, I think it was 1, but I got, I believe, let's see here, okay, this is the 25, so there's 125, and I'll just leave it like that. I'll Velcro it later. There's 125. Let's see. Here's a 25, so that's 225. Another 25. Okay, 3. So probably 425. Yeah. Okay. So far this pack came with, or 2-pack. 4 25-foot XLRs, and then we've got 2 50-foot XLRs, and the 50-foot was the key thing, because when I do long runs or you know, if I'm having to mic up a wide stage, these 50 foots come in handy. So these are 15 footers, I believe. Yes. So two 15 footers. So out of that pack, we had 4 25 foots, two 50 foots, two 15 foots. Here's one of the 25 foot XLR cables that I was talking about. Same brand as the ones that I just showed you. Except these have had a little bit of use now. Here's another one. 25 foot XLRs are a good go-between. I found, you know, for especially if you're doing bands or anything, you can connect them together, get 50 foot, so on and so forth. But 25 foot is a good extension, I find, for reaching any kind of mic, especially instrumental mics, to stage snake on a stage. Oh, and let me show you these. I found these at a brand. They were still brand new in a package, but in a thrift store, and they're just little cable tie clamps, whatever you want to call them. You know, they're like little handcuffs, cable cuffs. You know, and that's it. And you know, you can take them around anywhere, but it keeps them held together. They're just nice, but I decided to go ahead and use them because there's smaller ones. But if you're got a lot of cables and you want some cable management, I highly suggest a roll of Velcro. You can get it at any Walmart. I'll show you the ones I use, and again, I get it at Walmart. You can get it in black or whatever. I like to get as most black as I can because of, you know, if I want to Velcro cables around the truss, or if I want to Velcro them around the speaker stand, you know, tie up my cables, make them look nice at a gig, then black's the best way to go. You can't go wrong with black. Okay, another 25 foot. 25 foot XLR to TRS. I need to get some more of these, and I'll explain that in a second. I've only got two, and the reason I got these two is because the Behringer does not have XLR outputs. It's a smaller mixer. It's only got TRS outputs. So I got these two 25 foot to go into Snake or just directly into the speakers. Usually for a small gig, it's long enough to go from the mixer down up to the speaker stands and to my altos, or to the sub, and then you know, from the sub to the altos or whatever have you. Okay, here I've got dual 1/4 inch TS to dual RCA, which is I use these a lot for even for my own little DDJ SB2 because it's only got RCA out. So I usually go from, you know, from my mixer into either the Behringer or into DI boxes. This is something that should be in every AV guy's mobile DJ. Anything you do with sound professionally needs to be in your arsenal. This is a dual 1/4 inch TS to 3.5 millimeter stereo jack, or TRS if you really want to call it that. This is great because for many different reasons, actually. I've run into cases, especially mobile DJ gigs, whatever have you, where somebody wants to request a song, or they have a song on their phone that they want to play that maybe you don't have. You know, you say, oh, I don't have that one, maybe I can get it, you know, if you have internet or something. Or you just say, oh, I don't have that one, and they'll say, well, I've got it on my phone. Can you play it on my phone? Then aren't you the hero if you can say, yes, I can. I've got it right here. Plug it. And the other thing that these are good for is for backup. If anything happens to your computer, if it locks up or whatever while you're DJing, you got to keep the music going. And if you're like me, you're going to have music on your phone or whatever have you. Or I got a secondary computer or iPad or something that's got VDJ on it or something. You'll have it plugged in, already ready to go. And all you got to do is press play and keep the party going. Keep the dancers moving. And you'll notice on this one too, I'll just try and show a little closer, I've actually shaved it down. And I'll try and find the other one. These, let's see. Yeah, here it is. Here, I'll try and show you the difference. So take a look at that. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if that light is doing justice or not. But this one's the shaved down one. This is one that's not been touched. And if you can see, you can see how fat this plug is. And the reason I have this one shaved down is, like, if you take for instance my phone, which is in an OtterBox, most cases for phones, most phones that are in cases, this fat old plug is not going to fit between it. A lot of times you have to take the case off, which is why I have this one shaved down. Probably going to do this the same with this one too, because there's not really any reason not to. But I carefully, mind you, carefully shaved it down, whittled it down, if you will, so that way it'll fit pretty much inside any case and just snap right into the headphone jack of any phone, iPod, whatever have you. Here's another thing I need to get another one of, and this has come in handy as well. It's XLR to RCA. You know, most times I'm going to use a DI box for going from, DJ mixer or whatever as an input into a snake or into the mixer, whatever have you. This is actually a female XLR to male RCA, and if you're thinking like I am, this is great for outputs. RCA cables, you've got to keep these on hand, and here's why. Especially if you're going to be an AV guy or DJ or anything, you never know when you're going to need these. The reason you need these is, I guarantee you, a lot of these DJs don't have the right cables for what you're going to use, and it's great to have these on hand, because a lot of times when we do these big shows, we rent out CDJs, CDJ 2000s, Nexus 2 to be more specific, and the DDJ 900 mixer. And what we'll end up doing is, because usually only the headliner uses the CDJs, and most all the other openers have, you know, their little MIDI controllers and everything, and half of them, the only output they have is RCA. And what we end up doing to keep the flow going is we'll just have them patch right into the DDJ 900 until we're ready for the CDJs. You know, because usually we wait to put the CDJs on until the headliner, or we have it all set up but they only have 2 CDJs, so you still got usually channels 1 and 4 still open. So we'll just patch you in right into the DDJ 900 and with just these little RCAs, and Bob's your uncle. It's great to have all these little adapters, because let's say you're doing a show, and there's a videographer there that's recording a certain DJ or recording the show, or especially if you're at a wedding, if you're doing a mobile wedding DJ gig, and you've got a videographer and he doesn't have the right inputs and outputs for his equipment to go into yours, and when you be the hero, if you say, no problem, I got you. They're not very expensive, you know. Start collecting. I got to get some more. This is a little female RCA to female XLR. Again, it's good for just going directly out of an output into a separate amplifier or whatever have you. RCA barrel connectors, quarter-inch to RCA. I even have stereo splitters. That actually does sometimes come in handy, believe it or not. But maybe not very, very, very often, but it does. And again, it's one of those things. It's good to have on hand, because you'll never know when you're going to need it. And there you go. A little bit heavy, but it's actually not bad for all the cables that are in it. But there you go. So that's all of our Signal XLR TS instrument cables. All our Signal cables are in there. Some adapters and some fasteners, and I'm sure we'll add to it as we go. So before I actually put these in the case, I wanted to actually explain what these are for anybody who does not know what a DI box is. These are HOSA technology, and I may have gotten these on Amazon. Amazon carries a lot of HOSA technology products. And speaking of HOSA technology products, they are very great brand. They're a little bit more on the more expensive side comparably to some others, but their XLR cables, any of their sound cables and adapters, I love getting them because I know they're going to work and I know they're going to last. And their DI boxes is the same thing. These they work great in so many applications. Now these are passive DI boxes, which means they do not require phantom power or power of any kind for that matter. But let me give you a brief illustration of kind of what they are and what they include. So basically, these are direct input boxes. So it's exactly what it means. So you directly input an unbalanced signal into here, and then you come out with a balanced signal, or with your XLR out here, and that would go to your snake or directly to your board. There is also a ground lift switch, so if you got some kind of nasty buzz or hum or anything, you can hit that ground lift switch, and that should take care of the problem. This is where this comes in really handy, is because there are so many times that I'll have a DJ that is running Serato or whatever have you, and they're running out of a, let's say, an SB2, which is running on their USB power. Well, here's the thing, and it's also an unbalanced input. Using this ground lift helps with any of that hum or buzz that you would get out of that dirty USB power, because I've so many times we've tried to switch in USB ports, we've tried putting the computer on the same circuit, make sure I say on the same circuit as the audio, and it just doesn't matter. It's the computer's processing and power supply that creates what we call dirty power through the USB port. And there's a lot of things within the computer that can affect it, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But this is where this comes in handy, because if you hit that ground lift, a lot of times it will take care of that problem. So here you have your, again, your balanced output and your ground lift switch. And then on the other side, you have your input, which is a TS input, again, unbalanced. You have a TS output. Now, this is where, now you wonder why it has an unbalanced output too. Well, it's because, let's say if you have a guitar, or maybe a guitar pedal that you want to run to the board, but they also have their own guitar amp that they use on stage. Well, this is where that comes in handy. So if you wanted to do a direct input straight from the guitar pedal instead of miking the amplifier, then you would take that guitar pedal, go into your input, go through your balanced output to your mixing board, and then your unbalanced output would go straight into the input of your guitar amp. So they still have their use of their guitar amp. And then here you also have an instrument, or as you can see here, an instrument or line signal switch. And all that means is it balances your gain level a little bit, I guess is what you could say. It changes the resistance of the input signal, basically. So if you are running your from a DJ board, if you're running a line signal, then you would want to switch to line. If you're running a guitar or something to that effect, any kind of instrument input, then you would want to switch it to instrument. But that's what a DI box is, and again, this is a passive DI box. But yeah, they're very inexpensive, and I keep at least a pair around. I need to get another pair, actually, but they are worth the money, especially if you're going to be a mobile DJ. These are great for working with videographers or whatever have you, or any other performers that might be using your system as well. But especially if you're going to be an AV guy, audio engineer, running mixing boards, concerts, shows, you gotta have these. These are a must-to-have in your gear. If you've watched any of my gig logs for doing shows, especially for abduction or any of these shows at the end or anything, you'll see me use this guy, which actually needs to be cleaned out. And speaking of which, I am going to do a video about cleaning and maintaining analog mixers. It's pretty simple, just a little time consuming, but not everybody knows how to do it or understands why they need to do it, and I will demonstrate all of that, because I've got this one right here. I think it's got a couple dirty channels, and the Behringer that I use for my small mobile DJ gigs or whatever have you really needs to be cleaned. It's got quite a bit of garbage in it, but I'm going to do a separate video on that. But this is my PV20. It's actually a USB mixer. Pretty basic. It's got inserts. It's got line ends and mic ends. It's on all 20 channels, I believe. Okay, on 16 of the channels. But it's pretty versatile. I do like it, and I got a good deal on it. So, not bad, not the greatest.
Untitled Chapter.